So last night a video came up on my feed on YouTube that greatly concerned me. It actually scared the living daylights out of me for this young man in the video. So the fella that I'm talking about is called Connor Murphy. He is a YouTuber that's very popular. He's got about 2 million, I think, subscribers by now. He's somebody that I used to watch back in the day, kind of like occasionally. It's not content that I usually consume. He's basically, for those of you who don't know, he's basically a young guy, good-looking guy with a nice physique who goes around and chases girls and makes videos about it. He's always topless. He's always kind of interviewing girls, asking about, you know, hot questions, you know, how many girls have you kissed and things of that nature. So, you know, through the years of watching YouTube, I've kind of seen his videos here and there, but it's, like I said, it's not something that I watch and consume. But I know of the guy and I know how he usually is. The video that I'm talking about that I saw last night that greatly concerned me was titled Goodbye. And I clicked it because, you know, he hasn't been on my feed for a long time, and I just clicked and, you know, had nothing better to do other than dealing with this cold that I have right now, which is still not getting 100% better, but I'm almost there. So I clicked and I started watching, and within the first minute I got very, very uncomfortable. He basically started off the video by saying this is an acting, what did he say? This is an acting stunt or something like that. And basically the video went on where he started talking about how he's going mentally insane, how his parents are not proud of him, how he's done everything to, you know, to do well in his life and to make the parents proud. Anyway, it seemed as though it wasn't acting. That's what it seemed to me. Now, I'm not somebody that watches a lot of movies, and I'm not an acting expert by any means, but to me it looked like he wasn't acting. It looked like he was something like real. And I think the video went on for about 9 minutes, and for about 9 minutes I was kind of like sinking into my seat and just getting really worried for the guy. Luckily for me, I realized that this video was about a week old or more, something like that, and so I had a chance to watch a couple follow-up videos to work out what was going on. The next video that I saw was by Kenny KO, who apparently knows him privately, and in this video he's basically saying that, you know, he was basically going mentally insane. He was having a breakdown on this video, and he showed the video in his video, and he was basically saying that he was gravely concerned for him and that he texted him and called him with no pickup and whatever. And so at this point I was like, okay, so this is not this is not a you know, an acting thing. This is real. Also in this video by Kenny KO, he said that he was missing, several days missing, and then the video after that I saw was, to my pleasure, was that it was Connor again making another video, Connor Murphy, and in this video he basically outlines how he spent 2 weeks in a mental health facility. He said that he did consume some sort of an agent, ayahuasca. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly, ayahuasca or something like that. It's a Brazilian, basically, plant which contains DMT. DMT is kind of like a chemical which basically causes you to hallucinate. It's gained quite a lot of traction recent times for like its cleansing ability, to get you closer to the spirituality, answer some questions for you, opens up the third eye is what they say, and you know, people go on these crazy trips and they come back, so they claim better and more fulfilled and calmer individuals because they've seen something. So Connor says that he took some of that. The reason why he took that, he says, is because, you know, he went to LA, he tried to get into acting, wasn't really getting any jobs, and so his last ditch effort was to take this and make some acting, you know, videos, and then hopefully a director or producer would, you know, notice him and then pick him up, and then, you know, for him to get a job this way. Anyway, all of his friends around him got concerned. They called the police tracked him down, they took him to the hospital, took him to an emergency department. They, I'm guessing, detained him under the Mental Health Act because he wasn't making a lot of sense, and so then he spent 2 weeks under a mental health facility where they treated him. Now, Connor did produce a document in the video, basically, which said for the diagnosis, drug-induced psychosis or bipolar disorder. And that's how he left it at that. And he said that he had an awakening. He had an enlightenment period during the last 2 weeks. And then he started making all of these videos, which again, he seems a lot better than he was in that goodbye video, but still he doesn't seem all that well to me. I know he was discharged from hospital, and you know, those people in that facility, I'm sure, much more qualified than me, and so they saw him fit to leave. But to me, the Conor from before and the Conor now, they are very drastically different individuals. You could argue that he's had an enlightenment a period of life, and he's seen life different for what it is, other than chasing girls and getting girls' numbers and, you know, doing all that kind of stuff. He seems a lot more mature to me, but he also speaks, how do I say this? His speech is very hard for me to follow. I don't understand what he's talking about. He's talking about life and death, death being an illusion, Jesus being a magician. He's talking about spirituality. He's talking about a lot of things which kind of make sense, but then they don't make sense at the same time. And for him to kind of discover all of this in 2 weeks, it's hard to understand. But anyway, the feeling that I get is that he's not doing well. And if he's listening to this, I just hope he never goes back to this drug ever again. I just hope you never do, man, because in my experience of 10 years of nursing in emergency, I have seen a lot of drug-induced psychosis. Anywhere from, you know, from meth use, you know, ice, whatever you guys call it in the States, to marijuana, to all sorts of agents, you know, crazy benders, LSD, all this sort of stuff. And we see a lot of mental health in our facility, something like 15 to 20%, or something like along those lines. We see a lot of mental health, and the large portion of the mental health that comes to us is usually people that are in a crisis, people that are in basically a psychotic episode. And half of those presentations are, you know, drug-induced. So drugs are a lot to blame for this. You know, I've been around for 10 years in this job, and I'm not gonna, you know, lie to you guys. I get very, very frustrated when these people come in after abusing drugs. They're coming into emergency departments, acting like absolute animals because they don't know where they are, what they're doing. And they're in a bad state. We need to, you know, shackle them to the bed. We need to give them medications for the safety of the staff, for the safety of themselves. It's an ugly scene. And then they usually sleep 1 or 2 days, and then we kind of try and process them and trying to, you know, detox them from this drug, and then try and work out what's left and, you know, what's happening. The reason why I decided to make this video is that, you know, mental health is something that's basically a taboo. It's a you know, people are ashamed to talk about mental health. Mental health is kind of like an under carpet thing. It's in the closet. People don't like talking about it. If you've had a heart attack, people willy-nilly say, look, I've had a heart attack. But if you're having a, you know, a depressive episode, or you're having anxiety, panic attacks, it's more of a shameful thing. And I think the more we bring it to the forefront, the more we speak about mental health, the less people are going to get harmed by it, because suicide, you know, is the worst basically of mental health. So the more we can discuss this publicly, the more we make it okay to talk about mental health, the more we make mental health okay, I think the more people we're going to touch and we can potentially save. But it's frustrating again that people use drugs. Now I'm not sitting here and telling you guys that DMT is bad, or ayahuasca is bad. But from my point of view, from, you know, my professional opinion and also my personal opinion, you don't want to take any chances, man, because we all carry genetic predispositions to illnesses and diseases. It's what our parents gave us. Now, we don't know, you know, what these predispositions are. But if you have a mental health predisposition and you take an agent which destabilizes the chemical, you know, functioning of your brain, the chances are that you're going to have potentially a mental breakdown of some sort. So, you know, genetics play a big thing. So from my point of view, I would never want to take a chance and you know, take an agent which completely destroys me, and then I'll go into a psychotic episode, God forbid, harm somebody or harm myself. Or on the other end of it, if I go through all of that, you know, end up having some chronic condition. Mental health, psychosis, depression, it's basically a chemical imbalance of somebody's brain because of either stress, because of abuse, of life abuse, drugs. There's many different causes for it. But I've always discouraged everybody not even for a party or an experiment. I know, we live in an age where, the self, information's out there, so we can experiment with ourselves and take drugs and have these trips where we see, hidden information or whatever the pool is with DMT. I just highly recommend people not to do that. I have watched a Joe Rogan episode where Dorian Yates, of all people, was on there, and they were talking about DMT and ayahuasca. Ayahuasca is basically this Brazilian, how I understand it, it's a Brazilian vine, it's a plant, which contains DMT. There are many plants that contain DMT, but in Brazil it seems to be kind of like law. It's kind of like a popular thing to do over there. It awakens the mind. Once again, you see all these different things and whatever, and so, like, both Joe Rogan did it and Dorian Yates did it, and they talk about it in a very good light. The trouble that I have with it is that, okay, so they went through it, they came out the other end with so-called benefit, but how many people are going to come out the other end not right, with schizophrenia, with psychosis, with delusional thoughts, with still having some sort of, residual voices in their head, seeing things. From somebody that's worked in ED, like I said to you guys, for this many years, man, once you get diagnosed with schizophrenia, it's a chronic illness. I just don't want anything to tip these people over. So I'm a big no-no against drugs. I always have been, and I don't think it's a good thing. In Connor Murphy's, episode, he came out the other end philosophical, spiritual, but the vibe that I get when I listen to him talk is that it's ultra weird, and it's ultra concerning. The guy doesn't seem like he's right, and judging by the comments that I've read on some of his posts, a lot of people are feeling the same way. So as I'm watching this, I'm thinking to myself, Jesus Christ, like, if I can make a video that can maybe, discourage one person not to go down the path of DMT or ayahuasca or whatever agent that people are taking these days, it's worth it. I really feel like you shouldn't take that chance. You shouldn't, take these drugs. Of all things, I think steroids are better for us than DMT. That's how it seems to my mind, because at least with steroids, like, the effects are not immediate. You have time to think about it. Whereas if you smash down DMT and you have this trip and you don't come out of the right way, it's very, very frightening. So that's basically it. I'm happy that I'm late to this party. I'm happy that the goodbye video wasn't, a yesterday video, that it was weeks before. And I'm happy that he's all right, that he hasn't harmed himself physically in any way. But yeah, just a very, very concerning thing. I don't know why YouTube is popping up these videos on my feed from channels that I haven't seen practically for years. But anyway, that's what came up, and I just thought I'd share this with you guys. I don't think it's mainstream. Like I said, I'm not somebody that consumes his content usually, but I encourage you to check out the video. Actually, I think he's taken down the goodbye the video, but people have since reposted it. So you can check it out, and you tell me whether you think it's fake or whatever. But man, it's from my perspective, I had goosebumps. All right, guys. So it's cold. I'm chatting a lot. I want to get back to this bar. I've already kind of started training a little bit today. I'm feeling a little bit better, although not 100%. So let me get a set in here, and then we'll go from there. I'm feeling a little bit better nowadays. Definitely better than yesterday. But like 3 days ago, how long have I been suffering from this? Since Monday. Yes, since Monday I've been feeling really, really crappy. But I'm happy to say I feel like my strength is coming back, although I'm still coughing and bringing up crap. So I'm sort of getting there. But let me know what you guys think about this. Have you guys experimented with drugs? Have you had DMT? I mean, that's the first question. Have you guys had DMT? Have you gone down that path and done that business? But I know from somebody like me, being a health professional, I've never dreamed about taking anything because I've seen what the other side of the bed looks like. I've seen people come in on barouches and beds in emergency, and I don't like the side of that. You could argue that that's only the people that have overdone it, whatever. I've heard cases where people haven't done it too much, and they've come on the other end really, really bad. Like I said to you guys, you don't know your genetic predisposition. What if you're somebody that has a very low tolerance to drugs of this nature? You're just asking for trouble. You're asking for trouble, and once you disturb the chemical, process in your brain, then you're always going to be behind the 8 ball. These drugs that we have, antipsychotics and antidepressant drugs and all that sort of stuff, like I feel like mental health treatment is years behind what we know about other systems like the heart or the lungs or the kidneys. We don't know much about the head. We really don't. We don't really know how to treat it at most time. We have these new agents, but a lot of these people have chronic illnesses. We can't heal anybody. We can't cure anybody. So once you mess up with these drugs and you end up having schizophrenia or bipolar or whatever the case might be, you pretty much have it for the rest of your life. And then you just treat it symptomatically as the thing comes to you. You treat it and whatever. But to go out and risk causing an imbalance in your brain that you have to treat down the track, I just think it's not worth it. This idea that you might see, secrets to life, that you might see, spirits, or that you might get answers to what life is, what death is, what the purpose of life is, all that sort of stuff. That might draw you in. I mean, that certainly draws in a lot of people. But for me, I am calm and happy with knowing that there are certain information out there we should not even know, that we shouldn't have access to. And I'm happy with that. I'm happy that, we are not supposed to know what life is about truly. We're not supposed to know what death is about and what's after death. I'm happy with that. I'll find out eventually, obviously, like we all will. But these people who are really chasing the truth, per se, or who are chasing, the secrets to life, these are the guys that are going to be sucked into some of these things. On Joe Rogan's podcast, Dorian Yates said that he went out and he saw like what do you call him? A shaman, basically a guru of this stuff, of meditation and psychedelics and that sort of stuff, tripping out essentially. So he went out and he had like a proper session with this guy, and he basically described it as you're basically leaving your body. Your spirit is leaving your body, and then you go into this, how he said it, he blows the doors off your mind, and you see things, and you feel amazing while you're in that state. But he says, like, the way he described it was like, my disk space didn't have enough memory for me to get all this information that I saw in this trip to take it back with me into the reality life. He said that's how it felt like. He actually didn't have enough capacity to take all those lessons and bring them to reality. And so this is what causes people to go back in, second and third and fourth time and whatever. But to me, that sounds like scary shit. I'm not interested in hallucinogenic drugs. I'm not interested in tripping out. If you guys have ever seen somebody trip out or hallucinate, that's not a pretty sight, man. Like in ED, we have security call people down, and we're needing to medicate people forcefully because they're going to hurt themselves. Basically, they're going to hurt us. They're going to hurt themselves. We don't know what they're seeing. We don't know what they're running away from. What are they running to? Joe Rogan, Dorian Yates said that one of his mates did it as well, and he was with him, and he said that he was tripping out about his visions were of his birth, and apparently he had a very traumatic birth where the cord was around his neck, and so he was basically experiencing that episode. He was experiencing that reality where he was kind of being born with the cord around his neck, and so he was kind of gasping for air. He was trying to get this thing off, And Dorian said that he had another mate in the room who was kind of like an MMA guy, and so he jumped on him and kind of held him for the duration of the drug, so he wouldn't hurt himself. I don't know about you guys, man, but that doesn't bring any want to me. I don't want to experience that. I guess some of you guys might, but if you've ever taken DMT, if you've ever taken ayahuasca, tell me what you guys think. Tell me if this is a good thing. But from my professional and personal opinion, I would highly recommend that you guys do not take this stuff because of the likelihood of you coming out the other end with some mental health problems. All right, let me get another set. Man, I miss training so much, man. I don't know how people readily deload. I miss it so much. Like this sickness is really driving me insane. I really want to just clear up and just train, but I've had periods where I've gotten sick, got back to training too quickly, and then I've gotten sick because I didn't let the body kind of take care of itself fully. So, and then I missed like 2-3 weeks worth of training, and that I'm not doing that. Before this shed was built, before I started the Squat Everyday program, actually, I did that very thing. I got sick, didn't let my body recover properly, started training again, got sick worse. I ended up having like 3 weeks off training completely. And then when I came back, this thing was ready. And then basically the first day training in here was day one of the Squat Everyday program, which is now almost 90 days ago, which is surreal. It's been quite a long time. But yeah, so the motivation for this video was basically to talk about mental health, to make mental health a public discussion. I really want to contribute. I want to push the domino, even if it's one of you guys that gets the message. I want to make sure that everyone understands that mental health is something that is everywhere around us. I think I saw a stat somewhere where it's like 3 out of 4 people experience mental health problems sometime in their life. That's a humongous number, isn't it? I'm sure we all have felt grief, depression, anxiety for all those different things, but I think mental health is it's not a mental health issue until it sticks around with you for a long time. So if you can't shake off a depressive feeling, if you can't shake off a grieving sort of process, and it's prolonged, then you might have mental health issues, and then at that point you seek help. And I want to assure you guys that there is help out there. There are professionals out there who specialize in this field, who have dedicated their whole lives in talking to people and working stuff out, medicating people. And for every person that comes in, completely drug smashed with drugs and then having some sort of psychotic episode, we see people who come in with organic, mental health problems, people who, have had awful things happen to them. They've developed anxiety, depression, and they have relapses or feeling really bad. But, we get on top of this stuff. There's medications, and we give people medications and we taper stuff off, and then eventually they catch up to their normal self, and, they're back to normal functioning. I think there's a belief out there that, once you have mental health, you're completely screwed. You're not functional. It's the end of life. It's not like that. It really isn't. Obviously, you need to stay off party drugs. Like if you develop a mental health issue because of DMT and you keep going back to DMT, obviously you're not going to be winning that match. But there is hope. There's always hope. There's people out there. There's systems out there. There's programs out there that can help you with this. So for whatever reason, I don't know why this is, but men are even worse than women. Men are less likely to talk about mental health. Something like, I think the ratio is 2 to 1 in terms of suicide between men and females. So men are twice as likely to commit suicide than females. And I think that's because men, we're supposed to be this tough, figure. We're supposed to be, this manly figure that never cries, never shows weakness. And, mental health is seen as a weakness. In fact, what I would challenge this thought with is, I think it shows strength to come and ask for help. You know, I've seen some manly men come to ED and ask for help, and you know, it's almost embarrassing to me when these people come to ED, because I feel embarrassed how strong these people are. It's very tough, and so we as health professionals, when people come to us with mental health problems, we applaud them. We always say, man, like, this is the hardest step for you to walk through the doors in ED and come and say you've got a problem. That takes a lot of strength, and so we, from my end of the spectrum, from my end of the perspective, we look at that as strength. We don't look at it as weakness. So if you have a problem and you call for help, that's strength. That's not weakness. So I want to contribute to that idea of changing the perception of mental health being a weakness. It's not. People go through all sorts of trauma in life, trauma that people don't ask for. It just happens because of bad luck and whatever other circumstances. But when people come out of those circumstances and those bad events, and they ask for help and they get better, these are some of the leaders of our community. The people who have been through adversity and have come out the other end tough, because usually adversity knocks a lot of people down, and a lot of people stay down. And the people that get up are the toughies. These people are the toughies. So I want to encourage you to be tough. If you've ever experienced mental health issue, and if you ever in the future experience mental health issues, just know that it's like any other set in the gym. The bar's weighing heavy on you. You're getting stuck halfway up. I'm thinking about the squat now. The fighters fight through. The fighters are the ones that push for 4 to 5 seconds in that 1 rep max, and they push through, and you get the bar on top. And then the feeling of you racking that weight is the feeling of beating a mental health disorder, of beating that really bad period in your life. So I just want to, I can't say it enough. I just want to change some of these perceptions that exist in our community and globally everywhere. When I look at the stats, it seems to be worldwide that it's something that I know in the NBA. They've had a lot of NBA players suffer from mental health issues, and a lot of them have spoken up. And the message there is just speak up and get help, and that's basically it. Mental health doesn't discriminate against anyone. Top level athletes experience mental health problems. Everyday people like you and I experience problems, and it's up to us just to make it sound right. So even if you've seen somebody in your community, or a friend or a family member who seems down, it might be a cry for help. Just keep an eye on these people, and just walk up and say, "Are you okay, man? I'm here for you." It goes a long way. Sometimes it's not a verbal thing that people are asking for help. Sometimes it's a non-verbal thing. So just keep an eye on your loved ones, tell them how much you love them, and just be visual of how they go about their daily life, because you can always, it doesn't take a health professional to realize, when somebody's struggling, just keep an eye open, basically. All right, let's get this IQ list. Man, that felt so good. I feel like I'm going to do some more weight today. I know in the last 5 days I've been pushing around with, light weight just to kind of let my body recover. But I'm not going to do a volume obviously no volume, because the metabolic demands of doing high sets is going to completely destroy me. So I might go up in just a little bit more weight. I feel good, so I'm going to do a little bit more weight, 1 more rep, and then we'll call it at that. But yeah, it was a long spiel. I'm very motivated to do these type of videos where I can, potentially change somebody's life somewhere. I was having a conversation with somebody on one of the comments from yesterday, and the comment was, why do you bother? Why do you bother, commenting on other people's business, kind of thing? And that was my mentality for the most part, ever since I started this YouTube channel. I just thought I'll do my own thing, head to the ground, do my own business, and just, but then I thought to myself, it's not just about me. I started this YouTube channel to help people, to offer my assistance. I might not be an expert in any field, but I can offer somebody's help. If somebody's going through the same thing as me, or I have some knowledge that somebody might need, if you don't speak up, you will never be able to, affect that person positively. So I'll try to do my best bit. If someone out there is struggling with something and my video, helps them, and that's all I need. Just one person to say thank you, and man, it goes a long way. Being a nurse for 10 years, I feel like there's some experiences there that people somewhere in the world might find, helpful. Certainly mental health is something that I'm motivated, with. Like I said, it's looked at wrongly. And if I can be a proponent of changing that into the right perception, then, why not make a video? This platform is amazing. Like, the outreach is humongous. And like I said, if one person has a positive, experience with it, then I'm justified. I'm more than happy to do this stuff. All right, let's do 120. All right, I'm gonna call it there, guys. 120 for today, so my strength is getting back to me, and I'm feeling a little bit better, although the coffee's still there. I still don't have the full strength with me. But I reckon I'm at around 80% now, so I'm getting there. Anyway, guys, I hope you find, today's topic interesting. I hope somebody out there finds this useful. And yeah, thank you, guys. See you next time.